folks. Welcome to another day in the Milky Way.
Where the girl saved her brother, Cheyenne. In the summer of 1876, the two greatest battles between soldiers and Indians were fought on the plains of Montana. The first fight was called the Battle of the Rosebud. The second, which was fought a week later, was called the Battle of the Little Bighorn, where General Custer was defeated and killed. The Cheyennes call the Battle of the Rosebud the fight where the girl saved her brother. Let me tell you why. Well, 100 years ago, the white men wanted the Indians to go into prisons called reservations, to give up their freedom to roam and hunt buffalo, to give up being Indians. Some tamely submitted and settled down behind the barbed wire of the agencies, but others did not. Those who went to the reservations to live like white men were called friendlies. Those who would not go were called hostiles. They weren't hostile, really. They didn't want to fight at all, but they wanted was to be left alone to live the Indian way, which was a good way. But the soldiers would not leave them alone. They decided to have a great roundup and catch all hostiles, kill those who resisted, and bring the others back to the agencies as prisoners. 3 columns of soldiers entered the last stretch of land left to the red man. They were led by General Crook, Terry, and Custer. Crook had the most men with him, about 2,000. He also had cannon and Indian scouts to guide him. At the Rosebud, he met the United Sioux and Cheyenne warriors. The Indians had danced the sacred dance. The great Sioux chief and holy man, Sitting Bull, had been granted a vision telling him that the soldiers would be defeated. The warriors were high in spirits. Some of them belonging to famous warrior societies had vowed to fight until they were killed, singing their death songs, throwing their lives away, as it was called. They painted their faces for war. They put on their finest outfits so that if they were killed, their enemies would say, "This must have been a great chief. See how nobly he lies there." The old chiefs instructed the young men how to act. The medicine men prepared protective charms for the fighters, putting gopher dust on their hair or painting their horses with hailstone designs. This was to render them invisible to their foes or to make them bulletproof. Brave Wolf had the most admired medicine, a mounted hawk that he fastened to the back of his head. He always rode into battle, blowing his eagle bone whistle. And once the fight started, the hawk came alive and whistled too. Many proud tribes were there besides the Cheyenne, the Hunkpapa, the Minkajoho, the Ogalla, the Burning Thighs, the 2 Kettles. Many brave chiefs and warriors came, including 2 men, White Bull, Sturdy Moccasins, Little Hawk, Yellow Eagle, and Lame White Man. Along the Sioux was the great Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull, their holy man, still weak from his flesh offerings made at the Sundance, and the fierce Rain in the Face. Who can count them all? What a fine sight they were. Those who had earned the right to wear war bonnets were singing, lifting them up. 3 times they stopped in their singing, and the 4th time they put the bonnets on their heads, letting the streamers fly and trail behind them. How good it was to have been to see this. Crazy Horse of the Ogalla shouted his famous war cry, "A good day to die and a good day to fight. Cowards to the rear, brave hearts, follow me." The fight started. Many brave deeds were done. Many coups were counted. The battle swayed to and fro. more than anybody else's, this was the Cheyennes' fight. This was their day. Among them was a brave young girl, Buffalo Calf Road Woman, who rode proudly beside her husband, Black Coyote. Her brother, Chief Comes in Sight, was in the battle too. She looked for him and at the last saw him surrounded, his horse killed from under him. Soldiers were aiming their rifles at him while their Crow scouts circled around him and waited for an opportunity to count coup. But he fought them off with courage and skill. Buffalo Calf Road Woman uttered a shrill, high-pitched war cry. She raced her pony into the midst of the battle, into the midst of the enemy. She made the spine-chilling, trilling, trembling sound of the Indian woman, encouraging her man during a fight. Chief Comes in Sight jumped up on her horse behind her. Buffalo Calf Road Woman laughed with joy and the excitement of battle. And all the while she sang. The soldiers were firing at her and their Crow scouts were shooting arrows at her horse, but it moves too fast for her and her brother to be hit. Then she turned her horse and raced up the hill from which the old chiefs and the medicine men were watching the battle. The Sioux and the Cheyenne saw what she was doing, and then the white soldiers saw it too. They all stopped fighting and watching the brave girl saving her brother's life. The warriors raised their arms and set up a mighty shout, a long undulating war cry that made one's hair stand up on end. And even some of the soldiers threw their caps up in the air and shouted, "Hooray!" in honor of Buffalo Calf Road Woman. The battle was still young. Not many men had been killed on either side, but the white general was thinking, if their women fight like this, what will their warriors be like? Even if I win, I will lose half of my men. And so General Crook retreated 100 miles or so. He was to have joined up with Custer, Old Yellow Hair, but when Custer had to fight the same Cheyenne and Sioux a week later, Crook was far away and Custer's regiment was wiped out. So in a way, Buffalo Calf Road Woman continued that battle too. Many who saw what she had done thought she had counted the biggest coup of all, not taking life, but giving it. That's why the Indians call the Battle of the Rosebud the fight where the girl saved her brother. The spot where Buffalo Calf Road Woman counted her coup has long since been plowed under. A ranch now covers it, but the memory of her deed will last long as there are Indians. This is not a fairy tale, but it sure is a legend. Told by Richard Strangeowl, Brittany, Montana, with the assistance of 2 or 3 others, recorded by Richard Erdos.
So, until then, be the frequency you want to receive, folks. And I tell you, go out there and just shove that love down their throat. That's what we're here to do. Y'all have a good night, and I love you.